Hi, hi, hi. All right. So I'm gonna do videos of today, by the way. I got like four of them, but I'm gonna do them backwards. So like the one in the afternoon, and the one at noon, and the one in the morning. So I'm gonna do the next three videos. Basically, one happened 2 hours ago. So my dad asked me a question, which he always basically, I don't know. I think it's because anytime, anytime I think anytime my mom's around, he doesn't really know how to act and he doesn't know what to talk to me about. I don't know if that's kind of like a secret thing that he has, kind of like he relishes. It's funny because he actually watches these videos. But he asked me a question today, and it was like, how is my progress with the projects? And such a generic question, right? He's not actually seeking details. He's just kind of like showing me that he still cares or stuff like this. Or maybe it's just that it's the small talk when people are around. I don't know. But so my answer was, it's going good. I'm catching a good flow. And then it hit me. I literally answer exactly that way every single time I'm asked that question. And then I froze for like 5 seconds looking up into the abyss. And I do that. I don't fucking care whoever I'm with. I just like kind of like back zone out and I go like, hmm. And then I looked up into like the aether and I'm reminded by like a quote from Einstein. It's like, as I stay laid in bed looking up at the stars, wondering what the fuck happened to my ceiling. Yeah, when I looked up, I wasn't looking at anything but blank wall, by the way, not the aether, but that would have been cute if I was like outside somewhere. But I looked up, I was like, I am catching a good flow. And every single time I answer that question, it's always true. Sorry, man, I'm having some form of feeling. When I say it's always true, I'm always kind of like feeling like I'm catching a good flow. And it's weird because I've had some rough times and I've had some times where I'm kind of like out of my being and I'm having some times where I'm just like flustered and sometimes where I'm worried and sometimes where I'm kind of like thinking about all kinds of stuff. But almost every single time something like this happens, like a question like this comes to mind, my response is always things are going amazingly and I feel it. I feel it happening. I feel something coming closer, something every single time something needs to happen for me to shift somewhere. It's like it's always kind of like presenting itself in the perfect moment. On top of all of that, it seems like whatever, whenever I'm feeling like there's a lot of nonsense that's happening, or whatever I'm feeling like I'm not really doing what it takes, I'm never really spending my time unproductively. Maybe like the extent of time in between things is a bit kind of like not as productive as I would want it to be. But the reality is, it kind of seems like whatever I've learned over the week or 2 weeks where I was kind of like in an off place fits perfectly with the next stage or the thing that brings me closer to what I'm doing. And it's been this way for a while. Like even when I'm frustrated with like last year, like a few times I'd literally like sit with myself and be like, no, admit you failed at whatever you're trying to do and figure out what your failure is. And the first thing that comes out is like every single thing that you kind of like feel like you failed about is literally what is needed. Not you failing in that part. Like your failing in that part literally allowed you to be prepared to do something. And I isn't that what everyone says though? But feeling it is different. Being able to like engage personally with the things that you are actually going through and suddenly realizing that they apply exactly with the world that you want to create. And has the world that you wanted to create become clearer the minute you realize that these things are kind of like that because they existed And if you were sure of them in your existence, you wouldn't have been able to see the world that you do right now. It's the constant change and transition that always basically like surprises you when you shouldn't be surprised, because it's just like, what do you expect if you're spending more time on a computer reading articles about, I don't know, like startups? There's a high chance when the time comes and you start like doing something when it comes to a startup, you start building some momentum. And it really is how our minds work, but like the logic behind it is sane and it's always there and we're always engaging with it. But the feelings though, connecting with this actually happening in life, connecting with this truth. And it's funny because like in order for me today to kind of like go and I wanted to read before I made this video, I went to the tea house that I normally go to, and I haven't been there in 2 weeks. And I think I haven't been there in 2 weeks is because the last time I went there, they didn't let me read. Yeah, I sat in a place where the owner was consistently talking to me, and it just like didn't matter to me. Plus, I think the my friend that I used to go with, she traveled, so kind of like now my motivation to go to that place wasn't like peaking, just like a couple of things. Well, one of the waitresses actually sat with me and basically tried to talk to me once about like her philosophy in life and how she wants to change and move on. And I asked her to like write whatever it is that's on her mind. I gave her a small piece of paper like this big, maximum, maximum this big, actually this big, literally those square pieces of paper you find in hotels. And I told her, just like do me a favor, like just write something down that's on your mind right now, and I'll take it with me. You don't have to do anything. She just couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. So when I went today, she came to me and she's like, she came to talk to me, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? And she goes like, I want to talk to you about like what we were talking about last time. It was like, did you end up writing anything? She's like, no, they're organized in my head. And when you're talking to somebody and they kind of like hesitate, the first thing they say is like, the first thing the ego is protected. The second thing, the ego is like doubting itself, and the third thing, the truth comes out, where the ego kind of goes like, no, I can't hide it anymore, right? And for me, I always keep asking the same question. If like the answer is really like, if it comes out, like I said in 2 videos ago, I said like when people are actually saying something with hesitation and with doubt, or with any form of resistance, or any form of avoidance, or any form of like any feeling other than the truth itself, what they're literally like, I'm either honest with how I say things and honest with the truth that's coming out, or I'm not honest with it, but the truth is always going to come out. The mind is always going to explain exactly what's going on to it, whether it's explaining it, whether it's articulating it through words. So I look at her and I smile and I have a small conversation, and she goes like, I really want to get out of this la la land. And I stop her there and I go like, what are you talking about, la la land? And she goes like, this la la land in my head. I'm like, no, no. Your head is reality. This is la la land. And she goes like, why? This is here. This is my life. And I go like, yeah, life is your comfort zone. What is La La Land if not bliss? And I'm doing nothing and I'm chilling. And she looks at me with like eyes like this, and it clicked. It's the first time I actually have this conversation, but inspiring maybe even from her from her. Like I got inspired from what she's saying to say it. And imagine La La Land is literally the real world, because our true reality is living in our head. And so connecting and that feeling, I'm gonna make a note of this basically. La la land versus reality. And I'm gonna have a stronger conversation about it later on. But as for now, like the answer to that question, how are your project and your progress in your project going, has always been the same. And in all truth, every single time I said it, I meant it. And today is the first time it actually clicked with me that no, this kind of system where you have like this where you have faith in everything that's untangible in front of you, of everything that's just beyond your control. But then at the same time, you have a strong belief that whatever it is you're doing is the only thing that would make it happen. That's basically it. A belief that whatever it is you're doing is the only thing that will make it happen because nobody else is thinking about it the way you do. So it has to be what you're doing that leads to it. And if you're doing anything with that in mind, it's going to keep shifting and changing and moving and jumping and bringing until the right kind of like place settles for it to work. And knowing it can be done is just the easiest thing in front of you. And it was just like one of those good moments where my emotions kind of like unlock, but not in a like, they're more unlocking right now that I'm actually truly reflecting on it. Whew, they're actually unlocking heavy. I'm not used to actually, I don't know. It was super fun, man. Just being able to kind of like find happiness in these small things. It's super fun to reflect on your day and not feel proud of yourself, but more feel proud of the day. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm gonna close the video with this one. Peace out. Oh fuck, I ruined it. Later, man.